It seems when life is good, we have no questions. But when life is bad, we have no answers. It's really a paradox. Over the last 3 years, I have found myself identifying with the story of Job. And I found a parallel in my life with that of Job as I questioned God for the trials I would go through, and in the relationships I had with those whose lives I had invested myself in. When Job lost his spiritual estate, I lost my earthly estate. Like Job, I lost my peace, my quiet assurance, my rest. Job suffered the loss of peace with God. And as with Job, I suffered the loss of unbroken fellowship and friendship with those who I called friend. I had lost the approval of men. After nearly 20 years of investing myself in my community and in my church, as a civic leader and church elder, and having reached both prominence and financial security, my world crumbled around me. My company had grown to $50 million in assets and served hundreds of individuals who had entrusted their savings to me. Most of these investors were believers who felt a strong sense of personal accountability, who believed in trusting God with their resources. I had developed a trusted relationship with a lending company who provided commercial loans for businesses, and with a man who loved the Lord and served the mission field both personally and financially for nearly 7 years. This relationship would end with deceit, false financial records, and the loss of the money our company had loaned to them. Because I was responsible for the safekeeping of these funds entrusted to me by my investors, I would be held accountable for this loss, and I would be sentenced to prison. The result was the loss of my company, the trust placed in me by my investors, and the loss of lifelong friendships, many of whom were also investors. But even more painful was the loss of my good name in my community and with my church family. I had no answers, and I had no hope of forgiveness from others or from myself. Then a brother in the Lord who had led our men's Bible study for 20 years came to me and said, "Take courage, do not be afraid, for you have been faithful to both man and God." These words would ring true over and over again as I saw the hand of God move over my family, my relationships, my provision in my daily life. My precious wife, Sue, of 42 years, would remain faithful to me. Friends and family who I had helped financially in the past would provide a car for my wife, a home for her to live in, and monthly support for our basic needs. As with Job, God showed me that courage comes from trusting in Him and resting in His faithfulness. He showed me that He knows the plans He has for me, plans to prosper and not to harm me, plans to give me a hope and a future. God showed me how to call on Him and how to pray to Him and how to seek Him with all my heart. He promised me that He would listen to me and that I would find Him and that He would bring me out of my captivity. And now for the message I have for you today. This is not about me and it's not about you. It's about God and His love for you and me. Job went through his trials to prove the love of God, even though he did not understand why. Job had been faithful in his life towards both God and man. My wife and I had been faithful as well. Not possessing what God had given us, but allowing God to use what He had given us in whatever way He would show us. If you find yourselves facing financial difficulty, no matter what the circumstances, then withstand the test so generously, even out of your need. Experience what my wife and I experienced. See the hand of God move over your needs. Remember this: whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously. Each man should give what he has decided in his heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. God has given me another start. He has allowed me to take courage. He has taken the fear out of my life. He has shown me how to forgive others, and He has shown me how to forgive myself. God has shown me that if His forgiveness were for the righteous only and those who had not sinned, where would be the need? God showed both Job and me that to whom much is forgiven, the same loveth much. I have been given a fresh start, and I want to encourage you to look past your circumstances. If there is unforgiveness in your heart towards anyone, or even towards yourself, lay it down at the cross. Unforgiveness blocks the blessings of God towards you and is a tool of Satan to try and separate you from the blessings that God has for you. I want you to experience the peace and joy that passes all understanding. Receive the gift of forgiveness and freely forgive.